Hey, good evening. Welcome.
Om Shanti. Good evening.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Shanti. How is everyone doing? दरवाजा आप थोड़ा ये बंद कर सकते हैं शायद. How is everyone doing? Good. So today we thought to explore this subject, effortless meditation. We often hear the word effort. In Hindi we call it purusharth. We all make effort, and in the context of spirituality, we say it's a spiritual effort. And in Sundays, Murli, we heard Baba was saying that we should be yogis and not be warriors. So warrior is someone who is kind of fighting. And so in terms of, or in the context of meditation, it could happen that I'm sitting to meditate, right? Or I have the intention to meditate, but I'm fighting with my thoughts rather than experiencing inner silence. So yogi basically means that we have natural experience of our truth. And warrior means I'm fighting. So today the thought was to explore what it takes to be effortless. Effortless. We can all relate to this fighting aspect in the mind. Quite often we fight. And so if you really think that, so meditation is all about shifting from the thinking self to the observing self, where I'm not consciously thinking about the story, about the drama, but I'm actually observing. Today at work, so these days we have different chairs that we can pick. So today there was a beautiful chair. It was like a business class seat in an airplane. And in front was this beautiful view. And I would just sit, and throughout the day, the thought was, it's so good to just observe rather than, consciously create thoughts or think. And when we are in yoga, then actually we are not thinking too much. We're just observing. So what it means to be effortless. So the effort to be effortless. Other word could be natural. Or another word could be organic. These days, we all are switching back to natural and organic food, right? Not processed food. We say the more we take processed food, the more time it takes for the body to digest that food. And the more we take natural or organic food, it's easier on the body. So in the same way, it's like the more I'm connected to natural and organic awareness, it's easy for the mind to stay at peace. But the more I am taking in processed. It's like I'm processing too much. The processor is busy. Intellect is busy. And if you really see, today this thought was coming, this whole aspect of effort. If something is not right, we make an effort to make it right, isn't it? But if something is right, already perfect, is there any effort needed to make it perfect? Or no? It's not needed. So when we're talking about being effortless, so what happens, and deeply, if I check, what is it that I'm processing? What is happening in the inner world? Like somewhere deep down, I feel that things are not as they should be, or there is this margin to improve further. Of course, on an external level, that is what drives us, right? In a project or in our personal and professional life. But inside the mind, if I feel I've made a mistake, I'm not at my best, or this person is not what they should be, the situation is not what it should be, then I'm trying to make an effort to make it right. And I feel that where the game changes is then I begin to take responsibility of fixing things externally in my life. And when I begin to take responsibility, I feel heavy inside. And I become like a warrior. It's the warrior stage. Versus, this whole aspect of spiritual wisdom, this knowledge, is for us to see the perfection behind the imperfection. So when I see everything is perfect, I am a soul, I'm pure, I'm peaceful, I'm loving. That's my eternal religion. I'm not lacking anything, I'm completely pure. That's who I am. This whole drama is beautiful, everything, the story is for me to enjoy. There's nothing to change. I belong to God, God is my companion. I don't need to think about anything. He's there to take care of me. Right? So when I operate from that space that everything is already perfect internally, doesn't mean that I stop acting, but internally that's the state of mind. Then, the spiritual principle is whatever is my state of mind, I'll create it outside. So situations that come, people we meet, it's not by coincidence, right? We are actually creating our destiny based on our state of mind. That's the reality. So internally, when I am in that zone that I'm good, you're good, everything is good, everyone is good, then from that space, I'm actually creating a beautiful story outside. And the more I'm effortless means that, so I'm not struggling with the drama, then I'm able to actually connect with God in meditation. Otherwise, I cannot connect to God. I can think about God, I can read Murli's poems, I can churn knowledge, I can do everything, but I cannot experience God. Because somewhere deep, God is the embodiment of knowledge, the ocean of knowledge. God is vibrating in that frequency of perfection. But if I'm seeing imperfection, then I cannot really connect to God. And so this was the thought that was coming, that many times we can fall into that trap of trying to be perfect. And in science or in psychology, We call it the perfectionist trap. Wanting things to be perfect, wanting people to be perfect. It's a very interesting concept. In Japanese, they call this concept as wabi-sabi. Have you heard this? Wabi-sabi. So it says, just project. It says that nothing lasts, nothing is finished, nothing is perfect, and therein lies its beauty. Nothing lasts, nothing is finished, nothing is perfect, and therein lies its beauty. So I'm able to see the perfection or beauty. Like the example is a tree. A tree is not perfect. It's not symmetric. It is growing from anywhere, right? But it's beautiful. In the same way, when we understand this whole human world tree also, and that every soul's part is unique, then I begin to respect the soul for their part rather than create thoughts about their personality or their part. It's like through knowledge, I'm able to then get to that level internally where I'm not criticizing, I'm not judging, I'm not creating any thoughts. This is like, in one of the Murlis, the Sweet Baba said, ज्ञान की धारणा तब होगी जब देही अभिमानी बनेंगे. Like I can imbibe Gyan when I am soul conscious. So in soul consciousness, then my vision doesn't fall on something which is imperfect. Like when we listen to the Murli, right? Anything, any situation comes, Baba would instantly transform it. Like in Sunday's Murli, there was a situation, the tent was blown off. And Baba said, oh, this tent was blown off, no problem. And Baba, changed it completely. And Baba said that, just like air is swinging you, it's making you swing in the same way, this happened, but no problem. Right? And so there is a nice clip about this of how to focus on perfection. Or how to see perfection in what seems to be imperfect.
Blinkist. Things are either devolving toward or evolving from nothingness. Leonard Cohen. Cracks on a plate, a stain on a couch, a room slightly askew, a wrinkle on a face. For most of us, these things are to be avoided, replaced, or at the very least, they're less than desirable. We turn away from signs of imperfection, of damage, of impermanence. We yearn for the ideals, the symmetrical and youthful, the timeless and undamaged, the absolute and perfect. Western tradition wields reason and order as its choice of weapons in the war against the universe. So-called laws and truths from battles thought won hang over its mantle. Ideals burn in its hearth. But this fire requires constant feeding, and it is always on the brink of burning out, collectively and individually. For many of us, it already has. The hope that anything may be discovered or obtained that will make the coldness of the universe go away has been lost. For others of us, perhaps we've been engulfed by the fire, burning ourselves up with relentless desire. For those looking to better deal with the hot and cold of existence, who might struggle with impossible goals of perfection, certainty, and permanence, one idea that is tremendously useful is the Japanese concept, known as wabi-sabi. In the 12th century, a Japanese Buddhist monk named Nonin created the first independent Zen Buddhist school in Japan. This formally introduced ideas and principles from Chan Buddhism to the Japanese world. Central to Buddhism is the idea that suffering is an inevitable part of existence. More specifically, suffering arises out of the tension between our desire and the nature of reality. We desire things like permanence, perfection, and certainty, but the universe, which we are inextricably a part of, is in constant flux, subject to a process of change, transience, and imperfection. As a result of Zen's introduction and development in Japan, over time, this transient and imperfect condition of reality would soon be uniquely viewed as an ally to meditate on and make peace with, rather than an enemy to contend against. By around the 15th century, two terms would come together to embody this view and become a central part of Japanese culture, aesthetics, and philosophy. Together, these terms are wabi-sabi. Although there is no direct English translation, wabi-sabi essentially describes the view or experiences where beauty and virtue are found in the impermanent, imperfect, and incomplete. From an aesthetic point of view, wabi-sabi values what is visually incomplete, worn, damaged, unsymmetrical, or minimalistic. Artwork that is considered wabi-sabi often emphasizes the process as opposed to the end result. And moreover, the end result is often maintained and used past the point in which it still appears fresh, new, or undamaged. Visual artist Richard Powell said, "Wabi-sabi nurtures all that is authentic by acknowledging three simple realities. Nothing lasts, nothing is finished, and nothing is perfect." For example, a popular style of Japanese pottery that follows the principles of wabi-sabi is known as raku pottery. This style of pottery is often hand-shaped, fired at low temperatures, and left to cool in the open air, resulting in porous, inconsistent, and uniquely shaped vessels. This outcome and process intentionally puts an emphasis on simplicity and naturalness. Another Japanese practice, known as kintsugi, involves the repairing of broken pottery by covering the cracked areas with powdered gold, silver, or platinum, mending the vessel back together. The mended cracks are intentionally left prominent, viewed as beautiful, enhanced parts of the piece. Through both raku and kintsugi practices, the imperfect and damaged aspects of the ceramic ware are seen as beautiful, positive portrayals of the natural experience of existence. From a more philosophical view, mirroring its aesthetics, wabi-sabi values living simply, finding peace in the temporariness of all things, and embracing what is flawed and incomplete in nature, life, and oneself. Signs of these things and ways of living in harmony with them represent a more honest and useful idea of perfection, the perfection of imperfection. For example, around the 13th to 15th century, Japanese tea ceremonies were popularly used by the ruling class of shoguns as a way of displaying wealth, using extravagant ceramic ware to sip tea inside of lavishly ornamented rooms under a full moon. In 1488, however, Zen monk Murata Shuko would redefine the tea ceremony based on principles of wabi-sabi. It would soon become customary for the tea ceremony to be conducted using simple ceramic ware produced by Japanese artisans, often using raku or kintsugi practices, and the tea would be sipped while sitting in minimalistic settings under partial moons or cloudy night skies. The Japanese tea ceremony would become a worship of the simple and imperfect. Although there are seemingly key attributes to things that we find beautiful, there are also ways of thinking and seeing things that create beauty. Beauty is not merely based on what things we are perceiving, but how we are perceiving things, a phenomenon contingent on the mind. If we wish to see more beauty in life as life really is, it is thus up to us to do so. Wabi-sabi offers a lens through which we can more easily do this, a way to more frequently experience beauty in and derive peace from the true conditions of reality. Beauty, writes artist Leonard Cohen, can be coaxed out of ugliness. Wabi-sabi is ambivalent about separating beauty from non-beauty or ugliness. The beauty of wabi-sabi is in one respect the condition of coming to terms with what you consider ugly. Wabi-sabi suggests that beauty is a dynamic event that occurs between you and something else. Beauty can spontaneously occur at any moment given the proper circumstances, context, or point of view. Beauty is thus an altered state of consciousness, an extraordinary moment of poetry and grace. There's nothing inherently wrong with continually striving for something closer to perfection, but in truth, the distance between good and perfect is infinite. Wabi-sabi reminds us to not depend on ever finally arriving. It reminds us rather that the process is part of the results, that the beauty of things is largely in our mind, and that nothing in nature is perfect, complete, or permanent. And if nature can't make it that way, why would we think we can? On one hand, wabi-sabi refers to and describes an important part of Japanese history and culture. But on the other, it refers to a philosophical idea and aesthetic experience deeply relevant to us all. Everything we try will fail in some way. Everything we finish will be some amount incomplete. Everything we know, everything we cherish, everything that works right now will decay, fall apart, and disappear back into nothingness. This is something we all must contend with. We can thrash against and resist it, which naturally and inevitably we will. But we can also try our best, whenever possible, to accept this reality, to find the beauty and virtue within it, in learning to embrace things as they are, not how we want them to be. In every crack on a plate, stain on a couch, wrinkle on a face, room slightly askew, we can see beauty, we can see truth, we can see the oneness of nature that connects all things. In the words of David Foster Wallace, if you're automatically sure that you know what reality is, and you are operating on your default setting, then you, like me, probably won't consider possibilities that aren't annoying and miserable. But if you really learn how to pay attention, then you will know there are other options. It will actually be within your power to experience situations as not only meaningful, but sacred, on fire with the same force that made the stars. Love, fellowship, the mystical oneness of all things deep down. Not that that mystical stuff is necessarily true. The only thing that's capital T true is that you get to decide how you're going to try to see it. Wabi-sabi may not be everyone's taste, and moreover, arguably, even for those for whom it is, no one can ever totally embrace imperfection, impermanence, or incompleteness. But perhaps in our own imperfect abilities to ever fully embrace imperfection, we are, in a way, nonetheless, still embodying the idea of wabi-sabi perfectly.
One thing that struck me from this was that even on the journey of meditation, we often strive for the end result. We say, I need to experience peace. I need to experience God's love. But in this, what it says is for the focus not to be on the end result, but to be on the process. Like it's saying, it could be the end result may or may not be good. Like in the video it explained. But if I'm really following the process, and initially when I started the journey of meditation, I remember for some time in my initial few months or years, I used to get disheartened quite a bit. And I'm trying to practice this way, it is not working. I'm trying to practice this way, it is not working. I'm like, how will I ever get to experience what I have set out to experience in meditation, right? And then I've in the process figured that the very fact that I'm trying to experience, like I've set my mind on that experience, is stopping me to experience. And gradually, so the foundation of experience in meditation is knowledge, right? Is this awareness. And one thing that I've learned in the spiritual journey is that the process is just again and again, practicing, recalibrating, repositioning the mind to the reality. Not just as a concept, but in this moment. So we are talking, but we know that we are all spiritual beings. I have come from another dimension. We are here, we are sitting, we are sharing some thoughts. But it's like the more and more my attention is on staying in the truth of the spiritual reality, then the experience automatically kind of emerges. But if I focus on the experience, then it's a battle. Then it's not effortless.
Can you repeat this last?
Yeah. So if my focus is just on paying attention to what is truth, then automatically, I'm effortlessly experiencing. It's like to experience the soul is, if you really think about it, it's a huge thing. Experience the soul. We talk about experiencing, but to really experience soul, to experience God are big things. And that experience, I've seen that if I have set out to experience, it doesn't come. But if I just stay in the moment and pay attention to the truth, it naturally emerges. It's kind of effortless in that way. Is it clear, right? It's kind of effortless. So just share a few thoughts here. It's like going into that or moving into that effortless space. It's like knowing what is not obvious, using spiritual wisdom. It's like coming from a space of knowing. When I know something, then I don't need to make effort. So when I'm seeing something, then I don't have to really make effort because I can see clearly. Right? And so knowing is that. One way to understand this is, let's say, I think we have discussed it a few times before as well, but it really allows me to understand it easily. Let's say there is a beautiful green grass and there is a cow, right? And the first thought, as soon as the cow sees the grass, will be to eat. And if I tell the cow, no, don't eat. You should not eat this. It's not healthy for you. And the cow will have to battle because its inner, desire is to eat. But there is a battle going on. But let's say we human beings, we see the grass. What is our instant thought?
We see the grass.
Grass. What is our thought?
We feel good.
Yeah, we feel it's so beautiful, it's so nice, but we don't feel the urge to eat it naturally. So if you say sort of don't eat the grass, I'll say, yeah, anyways, I can't eat it anyways, right? So it's like this consciousness, if I feel I'm a cow, then not to eat the grass is a challenge. But if I'm a human, then it's not a challenge. It's natural for me. So it's like I have to bring, not to be angry, not to have desires, not to have ego as a human being, as Saurabh, is not natural for me. I'll say, oh, it's natural for me to get angry. It's natural for me to accumulate. It's natural for me to have desires. So if someone says, now don't have that, it will be an effort. But as a soul, it is not natural for me to be angry. To be angry on what? Everyone is a soul. We are perfect. We have come from our home of light. There is nothing, there is no resistance. So it is perfect. So it's like bringing the reality to that point, or when Baba says Dehi Abhimani, it's like I'm bringing any thought to that point where it seems to be absurd. So anger seems to be absurd, or desires seem to be absurd. As a soul, what can I take anyway from this world? So when I bring that thought to that level of being a soul, then there is no effort. Right? But that bringing it down to that level needs spiritual wisdom. And that's what we're learning every day, right? We're training ourselves to think as a soul, to feel as a soul, to know God's perspective. And so it's a very internal and personal work to really bring it down to that level of a soul, from where then, waste thoughts or all these things simply look absurd. It makes really no sense at all to judge anyone else. From the lens of truth, does it really make sense? He's a soul, I'm a soul. There's a part, I'm doing a part. That part is fixed, my part is fixed. Who am I to judge? It really doesn't make sense. So when I bring it down to that level, like knowing what is not obvious, because otherwise I'll be always processing personalities, behaviors, situations. That would be my default mode of operation. And from there, if you tell me, Saurabh, now meditate, now be soul conscious, now remember God, it'll be a challenge. Okay, I can do for a few minutes, but to make it natural, it'll be a challenge. It'll be an effort. It won't be effortless. I subconsciously create my story. When I think everything is the best, I create the best. So I create the best not by being discontent with what is right now. But when I see it as the best, I'm actually creating the best. That's the way spirituality works. In terms of physical, aspect, it's the opposite. We say, okay, something is not good. We have to first say it is not good, why it is not good, what we can do, right? And then we'll develop a plan, and that's how we'll say, okay, now let us achieve the best. But here in our mind, if I train myself using this spiritual wisdom and soul consciousness, people that are in my life, situations that I have, or anything at work, or whatever it is the best. It couldn't have been better. It is the best. Whatever happened, with my past, it was the best. It couldn't have been better. And it's not an affirmation, I feel. It's a reality. Because affirmation is more like I'm repeating, that's like a mantra. So it's not just an affirmation. Although it is, but it's not just I'm repeating it, but there is a deeper understanding behind it. Right? So I'm subconsciously creating, or I'm subconsciously choosing the situations I'm gonna deal with. And that's why Baba says, just remember me, just remember me. So what actually his meaning is, the more I'm in God's remembrance, the more I'm only seeing goodness in everything, everyone. And so from that space, I'm only creating goodness. And that's why golden age, we say golden age is coming. We're actually creating it. right now. That's what spiritual principle says. I'm creating it. Being okay with what is and my effort, seeing it as the best moment of my life. Like sometimes I can get disheartened with my effort also. But again, seeing it as the best. If I've made a mistake, then I'll feel, oh, I've made a mistake. But then understanding the importance of that mistake. Because of that mistake, I've learned about myself and where I need to put effort. And I was just, this feeling was emerging. What is the ultimately the real purpose of us being here? Our souls being here is to just enjoy life. That's what it is all about, ultimately. It's just a game. Yeah. And so in a game, nothing can be perfect. It has to be imperfect in that way. So we're all imperfectly perfect in that way. Imperfectly perfect. And, this thought was coming as we drive, and we all drive. And when we have to take a left turn, right? We have to yield to the oncoming traffic, right? So learning to yield. It's like say yes to drama. A situation comes, okay, good. This thing comes, good. A situation of a seeming loss comes, that's good. Insult comes, that's even better, right? The other day, this thought had come like, we talk about revealing Baba. How do we really reveal God's energy? Is, if everything is right, then who is gonna, but if nothing is right and still I'm happy, that's what is revealing God, right? So it's really an opportunity for me. So it's like yielding, understand? There's no resistance. I'm just yielding to the flow of life. So whoever it is right now in my life, to have unconditional respect for them. It really sorts a lot of things inside. In mythology, there is a very nice depiction of the state of mind. And that depiction is in the form of Vishnu. And Vishnu is shown in this way, right? Shown just leaning and very comfortable. Means he's not making effort. He's effortless. And in his hands are different ornaments, right? Or different weapons. These are basically all the, we'll say, instruments or means of knowledge. Sudarshan Chakra, right? And then this Shankha and all these, right? We say Kamal and whatever. There's a flute or Gada, right? Shankha Chakra, Gada Padam. So all of this is basically, the state means that he's not making effort. It's like effortless. So in that state of mind, I'm not consciously making effort. Right? Does it kind of... and when we talk about the perfectionist trap, and many times I also find myself in this perfectionist trap. It's like, I want things to be this way, this thing should be here, that thing should be there, I should be like this. At this age, I should have achieved this, right? It's a perfectionist trap. And I found this quote. It's really nice. It says, too many people spend too much time trying to perfect something before they actually do it. Instead of waiting for perfection, run with what you got and fix it along the way. Right? I can't just conceptualize everything should be like this and then. Right? And that's how, like, even when we were doing our PhD, right, thesis, the final project is not clear, right, what we have to work on. So the supervisor will say, oh, this is what it is. You just start. And as you make some progress, you'll understand your problem better. So in PhD, first couple of years, just, you just spend in understanding what you have to do rather than actually doing much in that way. But that's how we actually train ourselves, right? How to actually research. I really like this quote as well. It says, there's no need to be perfect to inspire others. Let others get inspired by how you deal with your imperfections. I like this, like, especially after coming to West, like to, this country. In India, when we used to have spiritual knowledge, it was as if, it's like another kind of, another phase. It's like, okay, this is Saurabh who is not perfect, and this is on the spiritual side, which has to look or feel everything should be perfect or look spiritual. I may not be spiritual inside, but I should look spiritual. Right? That's a spiritual, in a subtle ego. Like, I should look happy, I should look peaceful, I should always be smiling, right? Even if internally I'm not. Right? They say fake it until you make it, right? That's what they say. But after coming here, realizing that even if I'm not at my best, that's fine. I just have to be myself. There's no need to impress anybody. Just need to be genuine. So that makes it very easy, actually. Share another thought that had come today was, and in psychology, they call it the Pareto principle or the 80-20 principle. Has anyone heard about it? 80-20 principle. It says, and it's very scientific, it says, by making 20% of the efforts, we achieve 80% of the results. And the remaining 80% of the effort that we make, right? So 20% has yielded 80% results. But the remaining 80% that effort that we make is only for the last 20%. And that also sometimes we achieve, sometimes we don't. Is it clear? So there is one side is effort, purusharth, other side is result, prapti. It says just 20% of the effort is good enough to achieve 80% of the results. But the remaining 80% of my effort, I focus on achieving. So with 20% of the effort, I've achieved a very good, decent state. But the remaining 80%, I want good to be the best. And this is a very nice principle, even in terms of, dealing with our work. It's pretty interesting. So there's a little video about it that explains, and I felt it's very relevant to our spiritual journey, like where exactly I need to put effort.
Have you ever been interested in becoming more productive or managing your time better? Then you've most likely come across the Pareto principle before, also known as the 80-20 rule. If you've never heard of it, then you'll learn more about it in this video. The Pareto principle states that in any situation, 20% of the inputs or activities are responsible for 80% of the outputs or results. And I'll explain what that means in a second. The principle was named after an Italian economist, Vilfredo Pareto. He first observed this law in his own garden. What he noticed was that 20% of the pea pods generated 80% of the healthy peas. This observation led him to discover that 80% of the land in Italy was owned by just 20% of the population. And we can see this concept everywhere in our daily lives. For example, you wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time. In a book, 20% of its pages contain 80% of the most important information. 20% of the company's customers produce 80% of company's revenue. When it comes to YouTube, 20% of my videos generate 80% of my views and subscribers. The Pareto principle shows up over and over again almost in every field. But the inverse is also true. That means that the other 80% is only generating 20% of the results. However, you should note that this is not a universal law, and it can differ in many situations. It's not always going to be 80-20, it could be 70-30, 90-10, basically anything. The point is that the majority of results come from minority of causes, and the minority of results come from the majority of causes. Now that we've established that this principle does indeed hold true, let's take a look at how you can use it in your everyday life. Time is our most precious resource. We all have the same amount of time in our day, but most of us don't use that time efficiently. There's a difference between being busy and being productive. Most people think that working more hours will get them more results. However, it's not about the time you put in, it's about how well you spend that time. If you haven't applied the Pareto principle in your life yet, you're most likely just being busy. However, when the principle is utilized correctly, it enables you to do more by doing less. If we go back to our previous example, we said that 20% of a book will give us 80% of the information. That means that 80% of a book will only give us 20% of its value. Let's say it takes you 10 hours to read 100% of that book. By applying the Pareto principle, you know that 80% of the most important information can be found in just 2 hours. Yes, you could go deeper and learn more in depth if you wanted to, but note that you will most likely have to spend 8 hours to get those extra 20% of the information. It's up to you to decide if you think it's worth it. If you're still in school, you can also take advantage of the 80-20 rule. The exams never contain 100% of the content. Never. Otherwise, it would be a 50-page exam. You can get a good grade by identifying which 20% of the content you were studying in class is the most important. Studying the right topic for 2 hours will get you a much better grade than studying the wrong topic for a whole week. Again, you could reread every single page of the textbook and get that 100%. But if being a top student is not your priority, then it just might not be worth your time. You can even do a Pareto analysis on your friendships. What you're most likely to find is that 20% of the friends give you 80% of fulfillment and joy that you get from social interactions. The other 80% of your so-called friends are only giving you 20% fulfillment. Now, you don't have to cut away all those friendships completely, but you don't have to spend an equal amount of time with all your companions. It's much better to have a few close friends than to have a bunch of really distant friends. This is why you should spend more time on the 20% that give you the most satisfaction and commit less time to the other 80%. And that pretty much sums up the Pareto principle, aka the 80-20 rule. It can be applied to almost any area of your life, whether it's business or free time. If you can identify the 20% that produces the greatest outcome, you can spend more time doing that to create an even greater payoff. It also helps you cut back on the 80% of things that waste your time, which create only 20% of the results. It encourages you to think efficiently and focus on what is actually important. So think about what are some things that you could double down on and which ones you should eliminate. Let me know how you're going to use the 80-20 rule in the comments below. For example, I have noticed that I use 20% of my shoes 80% of the time. This is why I threw the 80% I wasn't using away, because all they were doing is taking up my space. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.
It was a pretty insightful analysis, right? The very true principle. And if we apply to our meditation practice and spirituality, what is that 20% that when I really focus on, it gives me 80% of the results. And I've felt that at the end of the day, it's all about coming back to this realization of who am I and whose am I. At the end of the day, if I ask this question over and over again, मैं कौन, मेरा कौन, मैं किसका? Like this is what the essence has to be reinforced. Like I can listen to 10 or 20 classes versus reading the Murli 10 times. Right? So reading the Murli 10 times will actually give me much more than listening to 10 different classes, right? Or spending time. And so these days I've been feeling is the best gift I can give myself is to not do anything. It's really just to be myself and enjoy this moment. Not to think about anything, not to plan anything, just to be with myself, and be with Baba. That's it. And I feel those are the moments that I really enjoy these days. Everything else will come and go. Whatever happened last year or the year before or whenever in my life, it's all came and went. Right? But at the end of the day, if I'm coming closer to Baba, with whatever that has happened, let's say some thoughts are going to the past when the situation came and someone said something they shouldn't have said, whatever. But if I ask myself, did it bring me closer to Baba? Say yes, that's good. Then no more thoughts are needed. That's it. So it really allows me to minimize the effort, right? Otherwise, I can just get exhausted making spiritual effort, right? And not reach where I want to reach. Om Shanti. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any inspirations, any thoughts anyone would like to add or share? Does it kind of make sense?
Again. Om Shanti. Again, a beautiful session. Thank you, Supreme Soul. Thank you, Saurabh. This is very basic, very simple thing which can be imbibed. It can make life so easier because we just get drained either maybe through work or maybe through personal relationship or stuff. And this makes it easier. Another point which I loved in the Pareto principle, it's beautiful. I've never heard about it earlier, but yes, we always strive for the perfection to do the best or something. There's nothing defined as the best. The world is changing so fast with the AI technology and all those stuff, and it's never ending. At least whatever we have, we should be happy in that. And even good is actually the best at the end of the day. If we feel we are soul, whatever we are doing is a part we are supposed to play. The actual part is the connection. Just keep remembering that we are soul and we have all the eternal qualities of peace, purity, love within ourselves. So it's not somebody else would give it to us, but yes, it's all within. And sleep by that. Like at the end of the day, okay, everything went well. Be happy, be grateful, like our last session. Thanks to we just keep thanking everyone, and thanks to you, and thank you everyone again. Thanks. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Nice topic. Thank you. I think from Wabi-sabi concept, and that the teaching was very visual. When I just watched the video, I didn't know I have seen this before in different videos of making those pottery. Never knew the logic behind it. Never made that connection between. I've heard the word wabi-sabi, but then it's actually, I thought when I watched that video once, I thought it's very beautiful art. But now, from a spiritual context, when you listen, it just makes a whole lot of sense, And every little things, and I was just reflecting things we feel sad, disappointed, could have been better, could have done that. All this just becomes immaterial, and then I felt like it was a flash in my thought. Was when I just applying that concept and looking at it, it really makes just live your life and be happy with what you have. That's one, and the other takeaway for me, like said about the Pareto, I didn't know. It's so true. You can apply from shoes to clothes to anything. I mean, I'm just kind of excited to apply that more and more every day. I guess I think it'll become more productive for sure. So great picks. Thank you.
Thank you. Be more happy. Yes, and doing that very two principle. Yeah.
To-do list never finished. Thank you. Any other thoughts from our friends on Zoom?
I'll just say to everyone,
Shanti, Sister Joy.
it was unexpected, but I had a yard sale today, so it was a little run down. I was like, okay, I'm going to get online. And I have 2 computers, but I can't figure them out. But I heard your final comments, Brother Saurabh. So I know that's exactly what I needed to hear. There's only Baba. Only Baba. And anything that I have to do, turn it over to Baba. And give me direction, comfort me. I mean, what else? There's really nothing else to say. If we keep this relationship with the divine source, whatever that is, Doesn't get any better than that. So I'm grateful for the knowledge, the spiritual knowledge, Gyan, and then the Brahma Kumaris for serving humanity, so that we have access to this truth of, yeah. Thank you, Brother Zara.
Thank you, Sister Joy. I hope you feel better soon. I can hear your voice a little, maybe.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
too late. Oh, I had it up higher. I have a
Bronchitis.
so yeah, my voice.
Mm.
Thank you, Baba.
You.
Looking forward to getting back with my spiritual family.
Hope this is- Thank you.
Om Shanti.
Shanti, Shanti.
I like the way in that video it was saying everything is perfect, even if it is broken, and we need to accept. And that's what, like, we were talking that, yeah. And I actually I wanted to say it now so that I do it. And then I have that habit of trying to be perfect in everything, which I'm going to leave, because it will just fall in place if I don't focus on that thing. Everything will fall in place. And then 2080, that's what I need to apply in my spiritual journey. So, like, whatever happened or whatever is happening, no more questions. Everyone is good. Everyone has their own role, so that we come more close to Baba. And that's what I said before you said to Binduban, like when we were talking. And then I said, that's fine. I just accept. And from this moment, I'm going to move ahead. No more complaints. I wanted to say one thing. I forgot what I said.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing. We all feel that way. Like even I feel that it's a very subtle thing to be perfect, because we all want to be perfect in that way. And that somewhere is a bhakti sanskar. I mean, I feel for myself as well. Because Gyan tells us that as spiritual beings, we are perfect. We are God's children. God is perfect. We are loved by God unconditionally. So we don't need to prove ourselves to God or anybody else. Right? Yeah. In terms of spirit, yeah, that way.
I feel it's just to be in the moment and appreciate whatever is coming in the way, or it's in the drama. That's the way it should fall into place. So no more complaints about anything except myself, except others, except everything, drama, everything. So everything will be fine. That's it. Thank you. And I was saying, yeah, we are placed by Baba. That's what I wanted to say. We are placed by Baba in this class for this reason, so that we all move ahead together. Thank you to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Any other final thoughts?
Shanti Saurabhai.
Shanti, Ramesh Bhai.
Yeah, I really liked your on this topic. Like, so I have like some opinion. Like I think like perfection probably is like a little bit artificial, right? Because nothing is perfect in the world. If you look outside in nature, like nothing is perfect, right? Everything is like in entropy, right? So it does not like everything does not stay in a right place. So, but if you try to like put everything together in the right place, it probably is maybe our effort or something artificial, not natural. So So maybe being a little bit imperfect probably is more natural than being more perfect. So maybe we should be happy having things a little bit imperfect, so not worry about, okay, I cannot achieve anything perfectly. Even if we do not achieve like 100%, probably we should be satisfied with that, right? That's what I think. Long time back, I think I read a book about chaos theory. I don't know whether you know about that. Yeah, because in the world of in this universe, everything is chaotic. Like, but still within this chaotic world, there is a certain like pattern or certain things that run like a little bit more perfect way. So maybe within imperfection, we should look for some perfection maybe. And I really like that 20-80% concept. Maybe when we are doing things initially, right? So the initial part of our work might be a little bit more like productive than later half of our work, right? So whenever we are doing something like to complete some work, initially we put more effort. Maybe that's why like it creates like more productivity initially. There is more acceleration initially, then slowly like you start to deaccelerate maybe. And maybe productivity goes down. Yeah, thank you, Saurabh.
Thank you, excellent. Thank you for sharing. Vishbhai. Yeah. Great. Cha. So any thoughts from Sandeep Bhai? So thank you, Baba. Thank you, family. Have a good evening. Om Shanti.
Good evening.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Bhaiji.
Shanti.
Thank you.